What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. Just finished up the Subway Series. Split the Subway Series for the season. Couldn't get the second win in the game 2, but game 1 was great. A lot of good stuff going on, honestly. Like, outside of the bats kind of just not really existing in game 2. Mets played really good baseball these last 2 games against the New York Yankees. So a lot of really positive things to talk about here. Of course, trade deadline's coming up, so that's always going to be a topic of conversation, whether the Mets are buying, selling, doing anything. We will talk about whatever we can with you guys, as well as recapping the games and previewing the next series, 4-gamer against the Washington Nationals. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Go subscribe to the New York Mets YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. And if you like what you're listening to, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. James, how we doing, man? What's going on?
Doing good. That was a nice intro. That was like a more clean, succinct, that was more of a table of contents than an intro. You really let everyone know what we're going to talk about for the next 30 minutes to an hour or so.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, the series was good. Like, I know they didn't win both games. In game 2, like, the offense wasn't there, but there were, like, a lot of positives, I feel like, to pull from game 2, especially on the side with Quintana, having, like, he had some tough innings and he battled. We'll get to it. But game 1, let's start off there with the win. I was in attendance at Yankee Stadium. Always fun at Yankee Stadium because let me just go on like a little rant about getting to Yankee Stadium. First off, the 4-5-6 line is the worst line in Manhattan. I hate it. It's always packed, especially the 4 train. The 4 train is always packed. It's an express that only runs like every 12 minutes. So it's unlike the 7 line that's just ripping 7 trains through every 2-3 minutes. You're at Queensboro Plaza, you're waiting. You're never waiting more than 2 or 3 minutes. You miss the 4 train, you got a good 12-minute wait to get on a packed subway. It's friggin' hot in there. It's super hot. And then when you get to Yankee Stadium, which is just the absolute worst, the track, what is it called? The station. That's what they're called. The station is tiny, and there's one stairwell to go down from that station down to the street level, and it's coming from a packed car. It's like nobody used their brain at all when they designed this stadium and where it should go. I hated that. It got me mad. There was just nonsense on the train as well. I hated it.
How can you not even tell just by the way the Yankee Stadium was built, designed, like the way it feels, that it was built for the people coming in their luxury cars from Greenwich and from, up in Connecticut, Westchester. It's not made for the people. It's not like Citi Field. Like Yankee Stadium, they put that subway like that because they don't want the subway people coming to Yankee Stadium. That's why it's like that. You go to Yankee Stadium, you go eat, you network, and then there's baseball on, and then you go home.
I will say they do kill it before the game with Billies and stands. It's awesome. Like, I can't wait for Citi Field to start getting more and more bars around. We have the K Corner. We have Ebbs right now. But those places, like, those are real, like, down to earth. Like, you're watching, you're talking baseball, good music kind of thing. Can't wait for that to build around Citi Field as well in the upcoming years, hopefully. So that's fun. But then getting into the stadium, this is a whole nother debacle. For a stadium, you would think, like, I guess maybe the Yankees don't sell out as much as they like to think because they have no clue how to get people into the stadium at all. Any gate you go to, you're waiting online for 15, 20 minutes. I mean, it's only, 10,000 more people than Citi Field. You'd think that they have no clue. Bottlenecking. There's the way that security works is out of control. We were online for 20 minutes to get into the stadium 10 minutes before the game was starting. Like, that just shouldn't happen. That's insane. I've never seen a line like that at any other stadium in the world. I'm a world traveler. I've been to games in England. Never been like that before.
No, I mean, the Citi Field usher is salt of the earth and very efficient. Everyone knows their job. Everyone
efficient.
knows what they're doing, gets everybody in a timely fashion. There even a few years ago, I remember, years ago, there were like those long lines sometimes outside Citi Field for the sellouts. But last year especially hasn't been like that as much. We're not, it's a little different now. But Yankee Stadium, every single time you go to that place, it's a complete just mess to get in there. Every single time.
Absolute mess. And, I mean, it's just like one of the most overrated stadiums, if not the most overrated stadium in all of baseball. It's just such a, business feel. There's no fun. There's no family vibe whatsoever. Like, everything there, like you said people go there to network. It's 100% true. There's a ton of networking getting done at Yankee Stadium. The seats behind home plate are never full. They were reporting that it was a sellout, maybe by ticket sales before the game. But I can tell you right now, me and Ernie, we had tickets in 406 or 306, right field, first row. I went down to go get a steak sandwich. I found a section, 128, 129, 8 rows, completely empty. I called Ernie. I said, hey, we're at Yankee Stadium. We're moving down. We're sitting here. We can't do this because I mean, they didn't even show up for their own game. This is a team that's above 500.
I'm not lying when I say the things I say. Like I'm passionate about how awful Yankee Stadium is, and I don't even think it's overrated anymore because I feel like it's really spread around. The Yankee Stadium is just like not that good of a ballpark. It's really good if you're like in a luxury section or you're in the Legends Suites. Like those things are incredible there. Like eating high class sushi at a baseball game is sick. You can't get me wrong. City Field sushi is really good too. City Field sushi is great, but the sushi in Yankee Stadium it's nuts. Like it's very different. Like City Field sushi, everyone can get it. Yankee Stadium, it's only for the very select few, the elites.
I know Vito was making fun of it before, but I had Benihana in the stadium. It was fantastic. A little steak, a little rice, and it was like $20. I was full. I was completely full. It was great.
Yeah, I like the halal guys there too. Good rice options in Yankee Stadium, but it's not a place to like really watch a game. Like Citi Field, you can kind of walk around, just like enjoy the day at Citi Field. The Yankee Stadium, most of the stadiums you're walking, you can't see the field, like you can't see anything. It's terrible. I don't know, and it's like even like it's like that business field kind of behind home plate, and then you go to the bleachers and you're just like terrified for your life because there's
the bleacher creatures. The bleacher creatures have a very, very fair nickname. They are creatures. I will say that is animal. They're creatures. They're maniacs. Whatever it is. It's also super lame. I honestly like bleacher creatures is one of like the lamest thing in sports. Honestly, it's like grown men who are like, please wave to me, Anthony Volpe. You're 21. Please wave to me. Lame. If you're a kid, cool. If you're an adult man who's got children, really weird.
What's the age cutoff on a bleacher creature?
Once you're out of college, you can no longer be a bleacher creature. I think when you're in college, it's acceptable because you're having beers, you're hanging out. Like it's a cheap ticket. I respect that they do sell out the bleachers every game. That's cool because it's like a cheap ticket. You get your beer, you hang out. They're rowdy for sure. But the chanting and like, please wave back to me, Anthony Rizzo. Please, Gleyber Torres. Weird behavior from adults.
Yeah, and Yankee fans themselves, I feel like, are a little bit duller right now than they usually are. They've kind of been they've kind of been beaten down by like a full calendar year of like around 500 baseball. Their team is one of the worst offenses in baseball over the last 2 months. Like they're definitely kind of like they're a little more sulky than usual Yankee fans. Like I was watching the game with a friend tonight in his backyard, and like usually any Subway Series, he'll just be like, just like get in my face no matter what. And he was just like super casual. It's like, yeah, I've been happy with Rodón. Got through 5 good ones. I was like, yeah, I guess, yeah. It's wow. I can't believe you're giving me such a guy to take.
Dude, I had Yankee fans last night. They're actually really good, the ones that were sitting around me and Ernie. But when Pete Alonso hit that second home run to put the Mets up 4 or 5, whatever it was at the time, we were screaming, we were jumping, we were yelling, high-fiving each other, being excited. Also, Ernie pulled out the VR jersey. He has to wear that to all Mets games now. No more of the other jerseys. Got to pull out the VR. But we were jumping and yelling. Some Yankee fans were like, yeah, why don't you get above 500? Let us know, like, what's going on. Then you can talk. I was like, yeah, why don't you get out of 5th place and get into a playoff spot? We're both not in the playoffs. Like, what is this trash talking? And they're like, biggest payroll ever. And I was like, coming from the Yankees? Imagine being a Yankee fan complaining about payroll? I mean, you guys broke all the records prior to this.
No, that's what I mean. The Yankee fans are different. They're getting a little bit different. And I feel like the fact that, like, if they were really good, and we were having this season as the Mets with the biggest payroll, they would have a lot of ammo. Like, I'll put my hands up and I'll tell you that. You would have me. Definitely. I would have no response. But the fact that they also stink, like, it seems they're going in similar directions. Like, maybe Judge comes back, they get hot, and they, like, sneak into a wild card spot. But it's a sad day when Yankee fans are bragging about wild card spots and, not having the highest payroll in New York. Like, it's interesting, like, that they have a chip on their shoulder now, and that's how they're about it. But it's weird coming from our youth, teams of A-Rod, G there, buying all the talent you possibly could. And now, they're just like, they're proud not to have the biggest payroll.
Yeah, a lot of winning in the last 23 years for that franchise. Big World Series for them. Yeah, so very successful. But let's get back to this game here. Pete Alonso is back. He's so back. I was feeling it before the game. Let's just say I had a little here and there on Pete Alonso to hit a home run or not. He was having a great series in Boston, and the way he was swinging it felt good. Boy, did he look good. I mean, even in game 2, he was smoking the ball, but 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, and a walk. Both the balls were absolutely crushed on the home runs. That's the kind of Pete Alonso we're accustomed to seeing.
No, definitely. Both his home runs were hit over 105 miles an hour, and that is a big thing for Pete because when Pete's at his best, he hits the ball as hard or harder than basically every single other player in baseball besides the guy on the other side these last 2 games, Giancarlo Stanton. And so I looked because I was like, I really feel like Pete hasn't really done that in a while. And I went back and looked, and in the first 21 games this season, in 4 games, he had 2 balls in play over 105 miles an hour exit velocity. This was only the 4th time he's done that in 71 games since like the middle of Mayish. And like, that's like, you really felt it with the wrist injury, and we need that Pete back with consistency. But good to see him. It also plays like Yankee Stadium. Like, I know those home runs weren't like quintessential Yankee Stadium home runs. I made a
Yeah.
joke on Twitter because one kind of looked like it, even though he smoked it. But like, those did feel like they might not have, gotten out of City Field.
Yeah, Citi Field maybe not so much, but
Yeah.
it was good to see Pete swinging the bat like that. I feel like him and especially Lindor always have big Subway Series, always perform like in the clutch against the Yankees. I feel like Lindor in particular owns the Yankees. We know he had that huge game back in 2021
Yeah.
where he had the 3 home run game, right, against the Yankees,
Mhm.
which was
Sunday Night
so
Baseball.
sick, so awesome on Sunday Night Baseball. And he did it again, 3 for 5, 2 doubles. You had 4 hard hit balls on here, playing great defense as always. Like that's when this middle of the order is clicking like that, you go, there they are. There's that Mets team we've been waiting for.
Definitely. And Lindor just has been swinging the bat really, really well since the birth of his daughter, Amapola. He told us in the interview that those two things aren't related, but just circumstantially, he has been playing well about since that time. Like he got hot that like third full week of June over there. And he's got 900 OPS like since Amapola. That was 6 home runs yesterday. He also stole 2 bases last night. Give him 10 steals in 30 games. Like he's just filling up the stat sheet left and right. For all my fantasy baseball players out there, he's a top 25 player in like pure fantasy baseball rotisserie value. So home runs, RBIs, run scores, stolen bases, batting average. And we still know the batting average is a drag. So he's been so elite in all those other categories. Like statistically speaking, he's one of the best like players in the whole league. In fantasy, it's a little different, but he's still, even in terms of like wins above replacement, is still where he always is, like top 30, 20 player in the whole league. And I thought it was cool that all 4 of his hard hit balls on Tuesday night were over 100 miles an hour. He's a guy who has really good exit velocities usually, but like to get 4 of those in one game, like you're really quite locked in. And I just wanted to look back at that again. I had the queue open from Pete, so I was looking up exit velocity stuff anyway. That was the second time this month that Lindor's had 4 hard hit balls in one game, including the game in Arizona. And just a random comparison. This one was really special for John, so I'm sad he couldn't join us tonight. But this will be the test if John's going to listen to the podcast or not. Xander Bogaerts only done that twice in his entire career. 4 balls over 100 miles an hour in one game. And one was in 2017 and one was April of 2022. And Lindor's done it twice this month, which is just really weird. And, that's just a weird coincidence right there.
Yeah, crazy stuff. McNeil also waking up a little bit, showing some life, taking some good swings, getting on base, had a good game too as well. We need Jeff McNeil like swinging the bat like he was, losing the batting title champion and having him hit the way he has this year. Like it hurts the offense for sure. So for Jeff to kind of just be inching his way back, heating up, swinging the bat a lot better also just helps his team so much.
Yeah, just finding his ways to contribute. He had the amazing robbed home run in game 2, playing right field, and so funny just that little fence out there. Just rob the home run. That ball off Gleyber Torres' bat. Just now we're jumping around a little bit. It was like that best. I was going to be 3 inches deep in the right field porch Yankee Stadium. He acted like he just put the ball in the grandstand, and that screwed up my head from watching this game so much that the next inning, Tommy Pham like did the same thing, and like I stood up, I went, "Get out!" My friend was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "It's Yankee Stadium. I don't know," but Jeff worked a really critical walk that I love to see in game 1. It was just before Pete's first home run. Francisco Lindor had doubled with 2 outs and nobody on. And then McNeil was up 2-0, and he went back to 2-2 and then just battled for a few pitches, drew a nice 7-pitch walk. And that's kind of like when you feel that Jeff is like kind of gritting his teeth and like playing this game with the pitcher, it feels like he's getting himself back to where he knows he needs to be like mentally to be the player he is.
Yeah. And I mean, talk about owning the Yankees. Justin Verlander, that guy owns the friggin' Yankees. That guy owns them. I mean, he's knocked them out of multiple playoffs. He's pitched great against them, again the other night. 6 innings, 6 Ks, no earned runs, 2 hard hit balls. I mean, what else is there to say? He's been fantastic.
No, he has. And it's been like a month and a half now with Verlander just being like this. His ERA is 2.44 since June 1st. That's the 7th lowest in the league. It's 1.98 since his like last kind of rough start, which was the one in Atlanta. That's the 3rd lowest in the league. And even just over the last month, the last 30 calendar days, it's 1.46, which is also the 3rd lowest in the league. And both of those 3rd lowest in the league, they're behind Blake Snell and Kyle Bradish, who are the 2 hottest pitchers on planet Earth, 2 of my guys, which is awesome. But he hasn't even allowed more than 3 earned runs to start since he went pitched down in Houston. And he really finally has like made this great adjustment with the fastball. I've talked to you guys a lot about his fastball shape over the last couple of months listening to this podcast. And I have another side-by-side image for Vito for the YouTube listeners of how he's like changed around his fastball location, especially right-handed batters. And this image comes from Lance Brozdowski. I've shouted him out in the pod a few times. He works for the Marquee Network as a player development analyst. He used to work for Driveline, video coordinator. his fastball just lost some like natural, like the hop, carry, explosiveness he's always had in his career. That's how he's always like lived in the top of the strike zone with his fastball, and people have never been able to touch it. And it's lost a little bit of that, but that pitch always did have a little bit of run on it too. So while it was like a rising fastball, it still like came really up and in on the right-handed batters. So now what he's doing is he's been putting that pitch much lower in the strike zone. He's like using it low to like dive in inside on them, and just getting a lot of weak contact that way. And it worked. Like, credit to one of the greatest of all time to see something that wasn't right and correcting it in a really, really like succinct and easy way.
Yeah, they had Verlander mic'd up for game 2 in the 3rd inning, and Ron, Keith, and Gary were talking to him, and they were like asking him like really good questions about like, hey, like at the beginning of the year you weren't sharp, but like we've been seeing you over this past month and a half, you've really figured things out. It's like, what's that all about? He's like, yeah, like just like kind of have never really started the year on the IL too often. He was like, so coming back like mid-season, dealing with like moving to New York, dealing with having to catch up with everybody else. He's like, all the hitters were ready to go when I came back. He's like, I was still kind of like an extended spring training a little bit. He's like, so yeah, it definitely took some time. I wasn't as sharp. He goes, but I'm feeling comfortable now. And like, obviously in his play, you can tell that he's a little bit more comfortable too.
Yeah, and it's very obvious on the mound. He once again looks like the Justin Verlander used to, where he's very in control on the mound. He's overpowering hitters. He's mixing in more breaking balls than he has in the past, and they're working really well. And it's a pleasure to watch. Him getting together like this has really helped his team straighten out over the last like 4 weeks or so.
100%. And then just some other stuff around the, field too. Vientos got an at bat, smoked a double down the line, which was great. So love to see him get the hands inside the baseball there. The Mets, like there were shaky moments in this game, which sounds crazy because they were up big with the bullpen and guys getting on and like close moments here and there. But
Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium, it makes you a little more nervous too, because a pop-up can go for a home run. But like everybody kind of just stepped up when we really, really needed it. Hartwig, Robertson slammed the door. Like, we ended up getting a very clean win here, which felt really, really good. And let me tell you, there might not be a better feeling during the regular season than being in Yankee Stadium and seeing those Yankees fans leave in the 7th and 8th inning with their heads down, sad, cursing out the manager, cursing out the GM, cursing out the ownership. All that stuff brings a huge, huge smile to my face. And cherry on top, I met Big Time Tommy.
Yeah. Take it easy.
I
was very jealous of you when I saw that picture.
We walked out of the stadium and I see him. Granted, he's a Yankees fan, so nobody's perfect, right? I mean, come on.
No, and I mean, of course he's a Yankees fan.
Yeah, he's got his Yankees Cadillac parked outside.
It's the old school way.
They let him park wherever he wants. He just parked on the sidewalk, which is awesome. And I go, I got to take a picture with this guy. And I went up to him. I said, how you doing, Big Time Tommy? I said, I said it like that too. I said, the old school way, OS for life. And he was like, hey, let's take a picture. And then we took a picture. He like, when we were done, he turned me, gave me a good handshake. I said, OS for life, take it easy. And he said, take it easy. And that was it. I was like, what a legend. I love that guy.
I feel like if I ever met Big Time Tommy, if you guys don't know Big Time Tommy, go on Instagram, look up Big Time Tommy, because sometimes you got to freestyle it. You got to do it the old school way. He seems like a guy who would always have like a little bit of salami on him.
Like, yeah, for sure.
Like he gets out of the Yankee Stadium, but like he keeps like a little cooler in the back. He takes out like a Ziploc bag of the cold cuts. And he just eats a few, sits in his car, meets the fans like you, and then is on his merry way back to South Jersey, wherever he calls home.
95% sure he did not go into the stadium. I think I saw like foldable chairs that he was just
that's
down
what they mean. Yeah.
And just hanging out there. And I'm sure they were like talking, listening to the game on the radio, having some meats, some cured meats of the Italian variety, some cheese, maybe a little Parmigiano cheese, and he's having a good day.
Big Time Tommy also strikes me as the type, and again, this is in the utmost compliments. I love Big Time Tommy. He probably has like, he always keeps like the brewed iced tea like in that thing at his house, And before he's come to the ballpark, I bet he takes like an old Simply Orange that he's kept lying around, and he pours the iced tea into the Simply Orange. And he packs that tight in the cooler with the salami, and he's just ripping iced tea and cured meats, listening to the game, and with the sounds of the stadium behind him.
Oh, 100%. He's a total vibe. Really was just the perfect way to end a great night watching the Mets beat down on the Yankees, which was just so much fun. Now on to game 2.
Oh, before we close on game 1, I want to give credit to one more person. I
give it to
Dominic Leone has been good out of this Mets bullpen. He really closed the door after Brooks Raley got into a little bit of trouble. First time Brooks Raley's got into trouble, it feels like months. And it's just that slider fastball combination from Leone right now is incredible. That slider is rocking nearly a 50% whiff rate. on the year for Dominic Leone. Yeah, and it looks good. You watch the slider and the fastball. Like, these are good pitches. And now he's bringing the cutter along more, which I think a lot of these Mets pitchers across baseball. Great article by Michael Bauman on Fangraphs this week about the rise of the cutter. Those 3 pitches are great. Like, watching him pitch, I'm not like, he's become one of the relievers in this bullpen where like I'll sit back in my chair rather than like be like leaning up a little bit, like watching, And I give him props for that.
I'm always tense around Dominic Leone, but he's come up big 2 times against the Yankees. Like, you just got to become a believer. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's really true. And these guys, good. It was good. Good game. Really good game Tuesday night.
Big Italian game. That's all I'm going to say. Big Italian game for the
Yankees.
boys.
A big Italian team, too. Like, the fact that they have Rizzo and Volpe just hanging around there is like, it's really ridiculous.
Oh, I thought you had more. All right, let's talk about game 2. Let's talk about game 2. Game 2, a little bit more straightforward. Honestly, truthfully, they just beat us. And they were just a little bit better. Like, there's no blame to point at anybody. It's not like, hey, Quintana, you should have pitched better. Or, hey, the offense, you should have hit better. Like, yeah, there was moments in this game where the Mets had opportunities. But obviously with baseball, we know it doesn't work every single time. And I wasn't watching this game frustrated in the way of like, how are we doing this? What's going on? It was like, dang, just couldn't get it done. Like, Quintana ended up like settling in pretty nicely in this game too.
Yeah, cool that Quintana worked through early inning trouble for the second start in a row to really like bring the nose up and have a good start. And this was also another start where the runs were just kind of like little dinks, little doings, sack fly, fielder's choice. Yeah. And like Quintana, something that I told you guys about his last start was that he was much more sinker heavy than like any other pitch, which I thought was interesting because in his career he's used the sinker, but it's mostly 4-seamers. And there wasn't very much curveball. This game was a lot of curveball. I think it was like 30, 35, 40% curveball. And the curveball became his primary pitch and the sinker was secondary, which is kind of the way Quintana has built up his career the last few years. And he looked good doing it. Like once he got comfortable, he got comfortable. The Yankees, the bottom of the Yankee order leaves a lot to be desired. You could really steamroll through those guys. Kept getting out of trouble because and they kept setting up like Kyle Higashioka and as a Kiner Falefa, who's one of those guys
the home run stroker.
Yeah, and as I talk about as a Kiner Falefa, and he hits leadoff for them. So it was just you get through some of the scary guys, and you get to there. You got a couple nice ground balls too.
Some of the scary guys is funny too. There's like maybe 2. Giancarlo Stanton is a shit. I said it. He's a husk of himself. He's not the same person. He's in chronic pain.
He also looks like he has like a tenuous grasp on like where the fly ball is gonna land. Like he walks over there and he's looking up. He's like, oh god. And he like takes 2 more steps. And he's like, oh god, again. He like takes 3 more and it's like, oh shit. But Quintana just look good. And like you kind of really like look at Quintana right now. You're like, we really missed this in May. You really just missed a guy being out there every 5 days, just like keeping the game in front of him. And he has played two of the worst offenses in the league his first 2 games. But it's also his first 2 games after missing the whole season. Yeah. So really good way to ease him into this. But it's bittersweet to watch Quintana a little bit right now because you're like, if he was pitching in May. But that's what it is. It was a good start.
Yeah, Jeff was making some good plays around the field again. He was involved in a lot tonight. He got drilled in the back by Carlos Rodón. He did not seem happy. Tossed the helmet. I thought something was going to happen there for a second. I was like, is Jeff about to go out there? But cooler heads prevailed. I don't think it was on purpose by any means. I know Gary, Keith, and Ron were a little upset about that. But you know what? They should be. Mets get hit more than any team in baseball. Something to just keep an eye out for. Definitely monitor what's going on there. But yeah, he made that sliding catch where he slipped on the Yankees outfield, which is crazy. I don't know how that happens. But he slipped, slid, caught the ball, made a great throw home. But Alvarez Harrison Bader made a great slide, to be fair. Just couldn't get the tag on in time, which was one of the runs. Vientos made the error, which led to a run as well. There was bits and pieces here and there, but like Jeff robbed a home run from Gleyber Torres, like we said. So at the end of the day, you can't point at 1 or 2 things. It was just like, hey, play a little bit better than they did, and that's just the story of this game.
No, and there was another moment from the Jeff Rodón feud that, again, I was watching on because I'm a Yankee friend's house, and I get house rules, even though I have to watch on the Despicable Network. But they after Jeff made an out somewhere later in the game, maybe it was the 6th inning, Rodon's last inning, he just walked right across the mound.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. I like that a lot. Him and Rodón kind of shared like a wry smile, and Rodón is a gamer. And he has big personality, so I don't even think he was super offended by it, which I thought was really cool of him. No. To like not be a hardo about it, like Dallas Braden all those years ago with A-Rod, even though A-Rod just did it to assert dominance, which was crazy. You guys should watch that video if you haven't.
For Dallas Braden.
Yeah, A-Rod and Dallas Braden just yelling at each other on the field because A-Rod grounded out and just walked across the mound. A-Rod is so much easier to appreciate in retrospect than he was in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I hated his guts every single second he was a Major League Baseball player. But now I'm like, this guy was the king of comedy. Even though he fired me, but however, nevertheless, it was nice to see that moment. That was like a little bit of old school baseballism back in this. And Rodón is like an old school guy. And I'm sorry for Yankee fans that they freaked out on him over like 2 or 3 starts, because he's going to be one of the better pitchers in baseball. I feel like over the second half. Yeah, he could be actually the lightning rod that drags them to the playoffs, for being quite honest. And their only chance to beat any of these American League teams in a playoff series is Carlos Rodón. They were like, get him out of here. He doesn't like this being here. He rolled up the patch too, which was like
pretty cool.
That was crazy. He had the chest hair going. Like, he was like basically an honorary Italian for this game.
Yeah, as when I went out to dinner with him, I asked him about like what he thinks about the bat flips and stuff. He's like, if I strike you out, I'm gonna shove it in your face. You can shove it in mine when you hit a home run off me. Like, that's the kind of stuff you respect as a opposing fan for sure.
Yeah, and that's a good attitude to have. And I feel like as baseball keeps growing and like these more younger players come in, more older players leave, like that's kind of going to be the most Hardo-ist mentality, I feel like. Or that's going to be like what becomes like the 80th percentile of Hardos rather than like the 60th percentile of Hardos. That's going to just make this game a lot more fun. But that was kind of it for this game. This was pretty cut and dry. I also will say this, Mets fans, like, I know Trevor Gott's had some really bad outings, but like looked pretty good tonight. There's a lot of movement in those fastballs, the 4-seamer and the cutter and the sinker. He's really just a fastball guy, but all three of them move in different directions. I could see a way that winds up okay. It's been bad so far, but yeah, him and Drew Smith pitched 2 innings. Like, they 2 walks, no hard hit balls. That was pretty clean after that. And the Yankee bullpen we talked about
is good.
Those guys can really do some things. Tommy Kahnle, Wandy Peralta, those pitches move. They move.
The magic Wandy.
Yeah, the magic Wandy and your boy Tommy Kahnle with the when you see the 90-mile-an-hour changeup, it's like really takes you back. Like, you're like, wow, seems really hard to hit.
During the All-Star break, got a couple Discord calls from Tommy Kahnle trying to play some games late at night, which is so funny to say out loud. He's a real character, good guy. Again, wish he wasn't on the Yankees because then I could really root for him. But, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, Mets are still 7.5 out of the wild card. Obviously, the trade deadline's coming up. We're under a week away from that. August 1st is the trade deadline. We don't know anything. We're not going to talk about rumors or anything like that on the podcast. You guys know the drill. But I will say all the players that have been asked on the Mets side about being traded or the possibility of it, every single one of them is very much like, no, I came here. I want to get a job done here. I want to be a Met. I want to stay in New York. Mark Cannon was like, please, no, like, don't get rid of me. Like, I love it here. Did you see the food I go and eat? Like, if you send me to Cincinnati, I'm going to have to eat Skyline chili. Like, what's the deal there? But it's good to see these guys want to be here still, of course.
You picked like the only trade deadline buyer who doesn't need an outfielder in the Cincinnati Reds. They're like 5 deep out there right now. But
Skyline chili's low hanging fruit.
I know it is. You might as well take a shot at it. But it isn't. It's, again, use the word again. One of our favorite words in this podcast, bittersweet. That we hear these guys talking. They're like, yeah, because everyone signed on this team for a reason. They're real World Series aspirations in April. Feels like a long time ago now, but that was it. And now we're in the precipice of probably some of these guys possibly being a different team.
Yeah, we heard Steve Cohen talk about it, like when he had the little press conference. He's like, hey, listen, like, we're going to evaluate and do what's best for the team, like this year, next year, moving forward. Like, we got to think about a big picture here. So we'll keep you guys posted on whatever happens. Of course, we will probably be pretty active during the trade deadline. If there's anything to talk about, we will be a place you can come listen. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Let's go ahead and get to the estimate because, of course, we had one this past series, and that was how many Yankee Stadium home runs there would be, essentially. There was 0. And I said 1, you said 3. So another win for me. John has still not gotten back to us about Boston. So we have absolutely no clue what's going on there. But I don't think you've won one in quite some time here. It's been a minute.
No, I'm pretty sure I won the Dodgers one, the first one out of the break. The total bases by leadoff hitters. Yeah, I smashed that one.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
you got one on the board there.
Come on, hey,
I think I have like 3 on you still, though, right now.
No, there was the Dodgers series. And then we can name all the series. There was this Yankee series. There was a Red Sox series. There was the White Sox in between. I don't remember who won White Sox. I might have won White Sox too, honestly.
No, I won White Sox because DJ Stewart home run.
Oh, yeah, longest home run. Okay, so it's not that crazy. And I think I probably won the Boston one because I had the under, and it didn't seem like there were that many monster shots.
We'll see. John will have to count that up.
In August when John gets back to us with that, which I'm saying that because it's going to be very soon. But I know we're going to do one series in July still. Damn, I almost got him. But
almost got him.
But yeah, I'm on a cold streak with estimate, but we'll get back. We're fine.
John
has
has
the hot streak every time.
You know, you do. I mean, we're hot and cold on this, both of us. So John texted us. The estimate for this one is total pitchers used in a 4-game series, because we do have a 4-game series coming up against the Nationals. Probably going to be a lot of pitching used. Probably going to be a lot. Just like anytime there's a 4-game series, all hands on deck, as always. You're going to be using some guys in some different situations than they're used to. I'm just trying to think about, like, what's the average amount of pitchers that just gets used in a game anyway? That, like, where do we go with this number here, James?
No, I'm just doing mental math right now.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at some box scores here. All right, I'm gonna say, yeah, I've got my number.
Wait, hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, I feel good about it.
Series, 2 teams, 8.
I'm reading the numbers. Ooh, total pitchers used it's not like if you use Trevor Gott twice, that only counts once. That counts as twice, correct?
No, I think it's every pitcher that appears in every game.
Okay, so it's
no
a cumulative number.
Yeah. It's not like if Trevor Gott's used, he doesn't count anymore.
Cool.
You know?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
I like how your brain went to Trevor Gott. But give me one more second. So
yeah, I'll give you one more second. What else can I talk about? That's for fun here. Good podcasting.
Me too. No,
James making me.
I got it.
You got your number? All right, ready?
Yeah, I'm gonna still write it down for the people on YouTube.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, 32.
34.
Ooh, 30. We got to pull that down. You said for the people on YouTube, you don't even show them. Yeah,
there we go.
34. 34 versus 32.
I want it to be under you. Damn.
Mark with 32, James with 34. You want to know where I did? I said 8 pitchers a game, 4 games. That's where I went.
Yeah, I did that, and I gave a little juice on top just in case we get like
a little juice.
Like just in case someone gets some national, we knock them out like the second inning.
Which Nationals are playing like some okay baseball. Like they're an okay team. They're not nearly as bad as I think we thought they were. Which is funny because you tried to tell me they were horrible.
I mean, hey,
look foolish.
No, yeah, hand up to me. I really thought they were going to have like a historically bad season, like something like some of these other historically bad teams are doing, and we haven't seen.
We'll be saying
what
the trade deadline is going to make them really bad though, because they're going to lose Jeimer Candelario, who's been like one of their best hitters clearly this year.
My boy, but we haven't even seen them in like a very long time. May 15th was the last time we had a game against Nationals. That was that 4-game set we played in Washington. So a lot of things have changed with this team. Number one thing that has changed is that CJ Abrams is kind of good now. Like he's a good baseball player. It just happened, and now he is good. And that's going to be something. Before we really start to break it down, I'll give you guys the pitching matchups on Thursday. All 7-10 games, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and 140 on Sunday. Very, very classic series right here. No funny business, no curveballs. Kodai Senga versus Josiah Gray, who's also just good now. That's a new thing. Max Scherzer versus Mackenzie Gore on Friday. Mackenzie Gore usually pitches quite well against the Mets. He's usually fine against everybody else. Saturday, Carlos Carrasco versus Patrick Corbin. That could be the game where our pitching, we really see our pitching number there. And Sunday matinee, Justin Verlander versus old friend Trevor Williams of the famous Trevor Williams trade.
There's a real question as to whether or not Patrick Corbin will make that start. He could be on the move at the deadline.
That's
very
true.
Much could be. They might not want to pitch him right before the deadline either. There's a possibility for that too.
We're missing Jake Irvin in this series, who I was just looking around baseball today. He threw 97 miles an hour today. Couldn't believe that. Yeah,
Jake
right?
Irvin?
Jake Irvin threw 97. So maybe the Nationals are learning. Maybe they're doing something right that is happening to them. But I don't know. They're an interesting team. They really don't strike out ever, which is like kind of a funny thing. They also don't barrel the ball. They swing a bunch. They don't like walk as much as many of the other teams. They just go out there and play some ball. They kind of like put the pressure on you. They have a lot of contact hitters. CJ is becoming a high contact guy. Lane Thomas is a high contact guy. The new version of Dominic Smith is a high contact guy. Plays a lot of pepper. Just puts the the ball in play.
That's like the old version when Dom was in the minors. Then he started to hit for some more power at the major league level. Then he couldn't hit for power. And now he's like, you know what? I guess I'll just hit for average. Although 269, like, it's above league average, but that's not a high average by any means.
No, it's not. It's pepper. It's a lot of pepper. I mentioned Lane Thomas. He's having like one of those like sneaky seasons where you're going to look at like Lane Thomas's page one day when he's on the immaculate grid in like 5 years and be like, whoa, Lane Thomas had a crazy 2023. And like, I don't know how that happened. But
like, where did that come from?
Yeah, they're a pesky little team. They're not bad. They're going to play decent ball. Their starting rotation has been a lot better this year, which is the main reason why they've gotten good. Josiah Gray is kind of like doing something similar that is how like Mitch Keller has gotten good, where he is just like has a lot of pitches right now. He's always really struggled with his fastball. It was a pitch that could be hit. He's also a smaller guy and a converted shortstop, so pitching is still something that's like relatively new to him. So crazy that he's mixing in, 5-6 pitches and every time he goes on the mound. But he just kind of leans on, I believe it's his curveball. I'm double checking right now. Yeah, it's his curveball and his slider. Both actually quite good pitches. And he's mixing in a new sweeper this year. It's been good, not used that much, but his fastball's always been something that's gotten cracked. As he's gotten better with all these pitches, he's kind of brought the fastball down a little bit, let the off speeds and secondaries play up, and he's a good pitcher. He's having a good little game. He's in the All-Star game too, and not good. I like Josiah Gray. It's nice to see him succeed. Good story.
You were talking about CJ Abrams as well. Since June 13th, which is an arbitrary day, but this is the hot streak for him. He is hitting 307 with a 350 on base, 504 slugging, 854 OPS, 4 homers, 9 doubles, 2 triples, 11 RBIs, and 14 stolen bases in 34 games. He has had a run of it. So I picked him up in fantasy baseball because I was like, oh, he's available. Got to pick up CJ Abrams. Hope he has a terrible series against the Mets. So that would make me very happy. But he's been playing good ball. And we also know that he loves to hit against the Mets too. His like only home runs of the year came against the Mets at one point.
Yeah, he was a Met killer that series in May when things were starting to feel kind of bleak. But even just, I mentioned Lane Thomas before. He's in 290 with a 120 WRC plus, 16 homers, 12 steals, 68 runs scored atop this lineup. And my boy, Jeimer Candelario, just the metronome. 3 out of 4 years with a 120 WRC plus as of right now. Just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
Your boy, but you've pronounced his name different to me every single time you've ever said it. There
yeah,
you say
it's time.
Jeimer Candelario. It's like James.
That's why I love him so much. Yeah, but just a good ball player, and he will probably be on the move for probably contenders. Anyone who needs a corner infield, he could play third, he could play first. Good baseball player. Joey Baseball also. Joey Meneses still in the middle of that order.
Jeimer Candelario, you are a New York Yankee. That's my prediction.
Speaking of trades that Mets fans might not be able to live down, the trade that went down Wednesday evening.
Oh yeah, let's just talk about that for 2 minutes.
Yeah, we maybe even 3 or 4 because that's a trade where there are basically no winners and the only losers are potentially Mets fans. Where Ahmed Rosario was sent from Cleveland to LA, who took back Noah Syndergaard. That was just like,
crazy.
how could this happen? It's also funny because those guys are switching. Dodgers get everything out of every guy. Like, imagine they can actually unlock Rosario's power.
No.
Just like, and Cleveland's been so good with their pitching development every single year. Like, imagine if they can actually get Syndergaard back to being good. Like,
no.
Imagine if this trade happens like this, like really, if you are a fan of like 28 other teams in the league, you don't care at all.
It's a big nothing pizza right there. Like,
who cares? It's 2 players who've been abysmal going on 24 calendar months right now. And every Mets fan's just like, oh no. Like, please don't let this happen. Not
Here
now.
It is.
This isn't what I need in August. I don't need Ahmed Rosario hitting 4 home runs in August. I can't do it. My mind can't take it.
Especially if the Dodgers are making a postseason run. Can't handle that. Can't.
He might become the starting shortstop if things pan out.
We were talking about Miguel Rojas last night in texts. Who cares now? It might be a better Rosario's.
This is how they got me.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all we got to talk about here on this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening, hanging out, watching with us. We appreciate you. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the New York Mets YouTube channel so you can go see the video version of this. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
And me, Giraffe Neck Mark with a C, down below our faces on the YouTube video. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Mets'd Up Podcast. Peace out.
Peace out. See you guys next time.